Hey guys. Alright, so we're starting this live Q&A. I know it's kind of a random time, 4:30, and for that, first and foremost, I want to apologize for the weird random time being 4:30. Um, Unfortunately, I know everybody has like all these kind of different schedules, and you can blame all the different schedules and then also all my craziness in my schedule for that. And so if you can't make it today, if you couldn't make it to this Q&A, don't worry. I got a few questions that I got sent to me. So what I'll do is whoever couldn't make it, don't worry about it. A lot of people, if a lot of you can't make it, it's okay. I'm gonna just go ahead and address these questions that I got sent. Some of them pretty good ones. A lot of them are pretty good. A lot of them were overlapping, so I just went ahead and put them together. Um, so we'll start with the easiest one. Well, actually, before that, I want to go ahead and thank everybody, by the way. Sorry, thank you so much for go ahead and put in what you did. Whether you did one day, you did both days, you did all 5 days, whatever you did. Thank you so much for coming and doing what you got to do. Thank you so much for putting in the effort. Um, I know it. I'm hoping that what you got out of this was a little bit more than what you've gotten before. I hope that what you were able to gather, all these resources and information, help you kind of understand a little more how your training and your craft and your body start to kind of mitigate into one whole tool, one whole approach, rather than this individualistic approach that you see happening all the time, all over the place. What I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to accomplish here with a lot of you guys and with a lot of people that I work with is being able to hone down on that idea, on the idea that what you do on the stage and what you do off the stage both have to be reciprocal. Um, it doesn't have to be that one gets more than the other. This should also impact that and in a positive way, not a negative way, and vice versa. So we have to see how you perform or how you do on stage and how you live your life in order for us to really take what you're doing outside of it and customize it, manipulate it in a way that is going to benefit what you're planning on doing on stage, what you want to do on stage, right? What you haven't done on stage, but you're looking to do. So if you find yourself struggling over and over and over again, hitting the same and the same and the same, finding the same injuries, going back to the same PT over and over again, or having to warm up every single time, roll every single time because you have that strain or um, that pain that you have to make sure that you address before you start your dance or before you start listening. Those are the things that you shouldn't have to deal with. Those are the kind of problems or the kind of challenges that don't have to be necessarily normalized in the industry, right? And ideally, we are able to prevent those from either flaring up again and coming back, or from even growing to something worse. Or you getting some compensation because now, in order for you to not use or hurt that part that was in pain before, that hurt, now you're able to start thinking about, now your body's gonna start working on a different side. I'm sorry. You start using different parts of your body, different muscles to compensate so that you are not using so much of that. So you're not straining that or working that or stressing that muscle, that part of your body, that hip, that shoulder as much. Right? So now what you're doing is you're exposing other parts of your body that don't necessarily have to be working, don't necessarily have to be recruited for specific movements, for landings, for specific moments in which you want to achieve that tension on your core to sing, or those moments that you are trying to get some stability for you to either sing or dance or land or reach certain mobility, certain movements, certain positions. So those are the things that we want to address and that should be included in what you do, especially as athletes and performers that you are, that are very, very, very specific performers, very specific kind of athletes. We have to stop ignoring that fact and that side of things and start treating it as an element that is pivotal and just as important as the other things that you want to do, and because it is going to be that backbone that's going to push up and elevate that even further. So now here we go for the questions. After that little rant that I had, questions real quick that you have. The very first one that I got and that I really feel like it's necessary to address, and some people saw that, is that where the mustache go. The mustache was getting out of hand, and it was just one of those things that I had to take off. It was just kind of overgrowing, becoming this thing, very revolutionary style that in my case, I was just like, you know what? It's time to let it go. It's time to break ways with the mustache. So mustache is gone. Maybe it'll come back later. I'm not sure, but for now, back to the good old, just my face, no mustache, no nothing like that. So I know some of you guys noticed that and commented on that a little bit. I know some people were a little pro mustache, other people are happy about it. Either way, can't do anything about it now. It's all gone, and it will be gone for the future, for the foreseeable future. So there's go. Thank you so much for that, by the way. Next thing. Okay, so now we got into the little bit more serious stuff. I got a question saying right here. Actually, just gonna start with the one that was right here on the actual page, and this came from, I think it was from the poll that we had, and it's what is a good way to address chronic pain in our workout plans, specifically for dancers. I don't want to give you specifics because without me seeing what it is, the chronic pain you have, or without me knowing or seeing how is it that you're moving that might cause that pain, can't really exactly pinpoint and tell you what you should be doing or should not be doing. However, if there is a movement that hurts a lot, let's just pretend that it is a shoulder press or something reaching above. If there is something that's hurting, let's say I'm going up here and it hurts back there, or I feel a little pinch in my shoulder, a good way to start is really honing down on at which point does it start to hurt, and in which position am I actually located. Does it hurt when I'm here? Does it hurt if I rotate my hand? Which way? Is my hand facing down hurting? Is my hand facing up hurting? Does it hurt here when I'm horizontally? Does it hurt on the outside? So a lot of few things also, and again, the position of my hand might also tell you a little bit more about where your shoulder is going, whether my shoulder is going to be internally rotated, externally rotated, or neutral, right? Is it above me here? Is it that my hand is facing this way, that way, or away? Where is it that it's going to hurt? And on top of that, how much space am I giving my shoulder? How much space am I letting it happen from the backside? A lot of times what happens with singers and dancers is, like I keep saying a lot on the videos, is there is a lot of tightness and closure on your back, on the upper back, because you are living in this life of getting your chest up, very much getting yourself elongated, right? And for singers, it's about creating that tension from here, which causes a lot of closure on the back, a lot of tightness on the upper back, and as well as in the lower back. So now if you started thinking about tightness in the upper back and tightness in the lower back, a lot of times that means that we are stuck in a breathing pattern that expands the front, closes up the back, which doesn't allow your shoulder blades, these things that behave along the ribs, that move along the ribs, that enable your shoulder and your arm to move all sorts of places, to really fully move. So then you start talking about lifting, or even just being able to reach that elongated position where you're able to kind of gather the tension from your core, from your diaphragm, and be able to release that and control the air. Doesn't get fully accessed, because back here, my shoulder blade is stuck, not being able to go fully back, right? Your shoulder blade is going to be able to move this way and that way, right? As you lift your arm, your shoulder blade is going to move back and down. As you bring your arm down and forward, your shoulder blade is going to go around your ribs, kind of like how we row. So if I'm trying to go here, but my shoulder blade doesn't access or can't move into a full retracting, a full squeezing back, and then also being able to slide in and down, then it's not going to let me get all the way over there, which means my shoulder is going to get stuck in a position where it's rotated inside, and now all of a sudden, I get that rotator cuff problem, all that kind of stuff. Now, if we're talking about your hips, it's very similar to what's going on up here. Shoulder blades and hips, very, very similar. Both of them work off of each other. How one works, shoulder blades, well, your hips also work very similarly as you move. So if we have problems in your hips, especially going into external rotation or internal rotation, then we gotta start thinking about the same way, about position and bringing that space back into your lower back, back into neutralizing how your pelvis is positioned, right? So that we're able to access with your femur, with your legs, access better movement internally and externally. A lot of times, a lot of the things that we do with breathing, that I have you doing with breathing, that's why I focus so much on specific ways of breathing as you are working certain exercises, have to do with enabling your body, enabling your diaphragm to lower and come back up, enabling the body to respond to that natural cycle of breathing that you have. So when we're talking about chronic pain, when we're talking about all those things, we want to start looking at more intricately how all this behaves, upper, lower, on your hips and your shoulders, to be able to dictate really where the pain is coming from and how do we address it, right? But if it does hurt over and over and over and over again, then we gotta either one or two things. I would say go see somebody face to face that can help you kind of mitigate that. I can't see like a PT at this point. Maybe you see a PT. If it's not, maybe there's something that you and I can get into an assessment, virtual assessment, which I do also, so I can kind of get an idea if there is something more superficial about it that we can just correct via movement and via breathing patterns and via neutralizing a little bit more, bring you back into a postural position that is going to be healthier than your performance. If you're stuck in performance over and over and over again, your body's going to start slowly but surely get stuck in that, and it's going to just feel some of those pains again. But if all of a sudden we feed it some healthy movement, bring you back to some of the spectrum that is more health side, you might find it that you are now not living so much in that pain side of it, and might actually help you when you get back into performance, that all of a sudden your body starts to recognize that there is a safer movement and there is a safer side to achieve the same movement pattern that you've been doing, but in a better way that it's not going to give you any pain. So if that's something you would like to learn more about or something, go ahead. This is for anybody. Send me a message. Again, I do free 30-minute assessments. I'm going to do any assessment for the group that's here. If you're interested in an assessment and you have something like that, go ahead and send me a message here or a comment below, and then we can get together into scheduling a virtual assessment in which I'll be able to kind of dictate and see a little bit more how you move and talk a little more about if there's any pain on those things. Now, when we go to the next question, we're going to go into how long does it usually take to get back into shape when you've been out of it. This is very super important, I think, right now for a lot of you guys, and that is a lot of you guys have been out of the game for now 9 months, almost 10 months, and we're looking at a little bit longer than that, right? So we're looking at what's happening in 2021. We don't know yet. There's an expected return, but we never know with this pandemic, and so a lot of times we kind of put aside the movement or the fitness aspect, or we do a little bit here and there, but fall away, fall down, fall off of the wagon a little bit, and then come back. And I can tell you that personally, it will vary how long it will take you to get back in shape. What I can tell you is that from conversations I've had with friends of mine that are producers that are setting up shows on resorts, that are setting up shows on certain places like that, still going, and they were still going at least overseas, and that are kind of having a few people kind of come in and test out, workshop a few things. They are noticing that a lot of the performers that are coming in, these are seasoned performers that we're talking about, seasoned performers that normally feel confident about coming in and be able to pick up choreo pretty quickly, pick up changes pretty quickly. They're finding themselves fatigued a lot quicker. They're finding themselves just not mentally focused and not physically focused as well. So mentally and physically both kind of going hand in hand. And that is because these are people that thought they were active, thought they were kind of keeping up. But even then, it's still not the same kind of activity that we're doing, not the same amount, not the same kind of feeling. and not the same feedback and stimulus that you're getting as you did before. So it is super important that you look at how you train, because you cannot be thinking about, all right, I'm gonna go back on stage, or I'm gonna get myself ready for the next 3 or 4 months and just work on specifically, let's say, only doing group fitness classes, or only doing my dance classes, or only doing going for CrossFit classes, or going for these kinds of things that are one giant general glove fits all kind of thing, or just aim to paint with like a wider paintbrush. What we're looking to do here is actually look at where are you right now, and where are your highs and where are your lows, and how can we start now capitalizing on your highs to bring up your lows a little bit more with it. How much are you doing in terms of your dance classes? How many dance classes are you taking versus how many singing classes if you're doing both? How many singing classes, vocal classes are you doing? How often are you doing it? So that now we can start taking your fitness, your program, how active you are, and work it in a way that fits within that same time, so that you get enough recovery, but at the same time you're also giving your body the right tools, so that when you go to your dance class or you go to your singing class, you start to see those two cycling together and working together like this, right? Not necessarily one here and the other one here, and then one pushes more and the other one kind of tries to catch up with it. We don't want any of that. And at the same time, are there any aesthetic goals you're trying to get? If there are, great. If they're not, also great. You don't have to meet many aesthetic goals if you don't want to. Like, I'm not pushing you to meet any aesthetic goals, any other goals than what you're trying to get. But what I'm saying is that depending on your goal, depending on what you're going to do, we can't ignore the fact that unfortunately the industry, you do have custom fittings. You do have a lot of things that have to do with aesthetics, especially on Broadway. It is unfortunate, but there are certain certain producers that look for a certain kind of look. And if that is something that you, for example, you wear on a show before, and you had a certain costume, you were fitting that, a lot of times what they are expecting, a lot of times producers, actually what they found is that a lot of those people are not fitting those costumes again. So now we're talking about getting back into being able to fit the costume, which the costume designers will adjust to and all that stuff. But we want to be able to also know that we are putting a little bit of effort where you feel confident enough to go back and not feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to fit in this, or oh my God, there's all these things to it. And it is kind of a tricky subject to deal with, which is something that I like to deal more personally one-on-one with people, because it is a very, very sensitive subject. But regardless, we want to approach it in a way that is healthy, in a way that is convenient, in a way that makes you comfortable in the body that you have, because that's when you're going to be able to perform at your best. Not fit in necessarily the aesthetic that they're looking for, but fit in the aesthetic that you feel comfortable in, the aesthetic that you want to look like, where you are confident in your body, in your abilities, in your talent, and you're able to capitalize on that, right? If we're able to reach that healthy point between training and your craft and your lifestyle, then we can expect you to do all these sorts of amazing things on the stage, right? It doesn't mean that there's all sorts of performers, there's all sorts of people out there that do incredible things, that have incredible talent, and their body appearance is not something that's getting in the way necessarily all the time. That is not the main dictator. The main dictator is how can you perform with the body that you have? How well can you mitigate your body, manipulate your body, and use the tools that you have, craft them up, and sculpt them so that they get the best out of you, and they're able to, again, elevate you, be that backbone that's kind of pushing you up and up and up to be able to deliver the performances that you're trying to get over and over and over and over again, and not return and be all over the place mentally, physically, all that stuff. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take a little bit of work, and it's going to take a lot of patience. I would say it's not going to be something that takes 30 days. It's not going to be something that takes 2 weeks. It's going to be something that takes 2, 3, maybe even 4 months in the long run to get back into it. So you definitely want to start looking at, what is my timeline that I'm expecting? Hopeful timeline, right? And start planning out for that. How can I start structuring myself for that in all sorts of ways? You can't just hit it straight through. There has to be a progression to it, and there has to be an intention and a purpose for every week as we build up, for every month, whether it's conditioning, whether it's stamina, whether it's getting you comfortable, whether it's healing a certain movement, whether it's reteaching a certain movement, all those sorts of things. How often do I need to train? 2 to 3 months out from starting the show. Again, let's go back to what I just said. 2 to 3 months before that. Best case scenario, when you are already, that's just pre-pandemic, 2 to 3 months, it would be really heavy on training, but also you have a lot of rehearsals on that. So we would have to pair up. Normally you would have, let's say you have 4 or 5 rehearsals a week. Your training would be embedded within that, but it would not be focused so much as conditioning, because you're getting all the conditioning, all the movement from your classes, from the rehearsals. What we would be looking at is how can we, again, complement those and strengthen your muscles, work about strengthening your tendons, your ligaments, positions, again, bring you back into a healthier side, so that now you can go from, you're able to swivel from health outside of the rehearsals back into performance on the other side of the rehearsals, right? Where you're able to recognize turning on and off when you have to go, when you're able to efficiently turn on and off, when you're able to go from quick to resting and recuperate quickly to go quick again. All those are the kind of things that we'd be working on, and having your body respond to those positively, not in a strained way, preparing them for that. So 2 to 3 months, we'll be pushing something about 3 times, 4 times a week, something like that, with enough time for you to rest. Again, it's smart training. It's not going to be high intensity. It's not going to be anything like that. Why? Because you're getting that high intensity and all that stuff from your rehearsals, from all the things. This is going to be a little bit different approach when we're strengthening and we're working on the flexibility and the tensile strength of your tendons and of your ligaments and of your muscles and of your joints, all those kinds of things. How about when I'm in the middle of performing? Now, when you're in the middle of performing, you are fully booked. You are going so much, 8 times a week. If you're on tours, you're traveling, you have to, like, sometimes you're traveling, you get there, and that same day you set up, boom, you gotta go for performances. So when you are on the middle of performance, it's not gonna be at all anything like how you prepared for the show. We're talking about a complete different way of training. We're talking about a complete different way to approaching how you move and how you train inside a gym, or in any kind of thing, whether you have a gym or not available to you. You're going to be talking about something that's going to bring you down a little more, give you a little bit more of movement, restorative, recovery, but at the same time, again, hitting those ideas that we still want to get the blood moving. We still want to give some more of that tensile strength. We still want to bring the oxygen into your muscles. So a lot of holds, a lot of things that have to do isometrically, a lot of things that have to do with strengthening and those positions that might seem painful, that might seem that are going to be more isolated for the movement that you're going to be doing. And again, a lot of recovery, a lot of things that have to do with making sure that those movements that you keep repeating over and over and over and over and over again are not hitting the wrong movements, are not hitting the wrong switches as you're going into it, but you're establishing and making sure that you're reinforcing those patterns properly, so that you can go back and do them again the next day, and then come back and give yourself some way of cleansing and then strengthening at the same time, right? But again, keep in mind that this doesn't mean that whatever you do on stage, you're going to be doing in strength training. You're not going to be doing the same kind of movements and the same thing, whether you're doing concert or performance or Broadway, commercial. Just because you do them on stage and rehearsal doesn't mean you're going to take that same movement and apply it at the gym, right? See, often a lot of those things happening, and you're not, at that point, you're not really strengthening your body in anything that's going to give it that complement, that balance, right? You want to balance your body. You want to give it that. You don't want to just do the same thing that you did here, but now you take that same movement. Let's say you're just spending a lot of times on the ball of your feet, and you're doing a lot of calf raises, lifting through your calf in the most basic sense. And you're bringing your legs and you're holding and stabilizing, and then you come to the gym and you're doing actually the exact same thing over and over again. You're just going to be feeding the same movement to your body, which is just going to exhaust that movement even more so than it was before. You want to balance it. You want to give it something that's on the other side of the spectrum, something that's going to give it what it doesn't have, what it needs, which is that balance, so that, like a pendulum, right, I'm able to swing one way and then swing back comfortably. I'm able to gather that same energy. If I swing here and then keep myself up here, there's no nature to the pendulum. There's nothing happening. Instead, this is just gonna stay up here, and all we're gonna be doing is just feeding it more until something snaps or something hurts. So again, it's about giving your body balance in order to have that long term that we're looking for. What is an optimal recovery strategy post performances? Post performances, this is when it comes physically is one thing, mentally different thing. I think I've heard a lot of times talking to other people and listening to seasoned performers, seasoned actors and singers that post performance you come from such a high that it's so difficult coming back down and relaxing, and so I completely understand that. I mean, I'm talking about I'm also like a former athlete, and playing in front of people, playing and all these kind of things, and having the crowd, having all the stuff feels amazing, and you feel this liveliness and all this crowd, and you finish and you're like energized, which is amazing, and that's part of what feeds you and part of what it happens, and what makes it such an incredible art and an incredible event. But your body has to also calm down and be able to calm down. So a lot of times what I would suggest is find something that relaxes, find something that brings you a little bit more of calm. A lot of times has to do with just go and post performance, go know that come up with some kind of routine that's gonna help you, create a consistent event, consistency after the shows, right? So that your body recognizes it as like, this is post performance, this is how I start to calm down. Much like when we talk about restarting or reestablishing a pattern for going to bed, that we want to have, all right, it's 8 o'clock, I'm gonna not eat anymore. 8:30, I start brushing my teeth, or at 8:45, I turn the TV off. 9, I'm laying down in bed. 9:15, by 9:30, I'm already like reading a book, and by 10 p.m. lights come off or whatever, and then I'm going to bed. If we do that every single day over and over, and I wake up at the same time, I'm going to bed at the same time, what's going to happen is your body's going to recognize that pattern and that routine, and it's going to become easier for your body to see it as, this is how we slow down the system, this is how we turn it down, and this is how we start to calm down and get out of that super high, everything is happy and everything is good, but in a good way, not in a way that I'm just like turning it off, but in a way that I'm able to capitalize on that and bring and get some of the happiness out of it, use it, and then slow my system down so I can recover, because I gotta do it again the next day. And how are you gonna do that again next day if you're going to bed so late because you were so happy, and all of a sudden you're waking up late into the next day? So your body doesn't get to fully recover, but instead you're able to come down, roll a little bit, get some minor movements that are going to be giving your body, again, some of that recovery, some of that breathing patterns, some of that getting you back from performance, right, into a much more calm through breathing, through whether it's meditation or just some of the breathing patterns that we do, and along with the movements, because that way you're able to also, again, get your body to start syncing how you move and how you breathe. You were using these movements for all this high intensity, but all of a sudden now you're taking these movements and introducing the other breathing pattern. Now you're going to start letting your body take those movements and start slowly but surely shifting back into a much more calm, much more health-based or health-biased mentality, which is going to allow you to recover easier and be ready again for the next day, rest better for the next day, and get your muscles to feel much more prepared for what's going to come again, over and over again. What is a good warm-up strategy when you don't have much time for your workouts? I think I addressed a little bit this. I put a post on my Instagram story about this. There's a few things that I like to do when I don't have much time. I technically, for my warm-ups, I'll be honest, I spend 5 to 8 minutes, 8 minutes tops warming up. I don't want my warm-ups to become a whole workout, right? It's very important to warm up, but it's also very important to just remember that your workouts are your workouts, and the warm-up is not the whole. It's not the whole show, right? So make sure that your workouts. I like to just keep. I like to have the idea of what my theme is gonna be. What am I gonna be doing? What is the theme of that day? What is the theme of my workout? What am I gonna be focusing on that day, that week, all that stuff, and have my workout be the last thing. Like usually when I work these things out, my workouts are the last thing that I come up that I realize what I'm gonna be doing. I realize what my workout is gonna be that day, what the theme is, and then from there I come up with my workout. I realize what my workout is gonna be, what it needs, what is it gonna be, what is it my body's gonna need for it to be ready to really full outperform the workout that I'm gonna be doing. So a lot of times if I'm doing pushing, which means a lot of like up here, forward or vertical, I like to prep myself into a little more of a flex position, a lot of breathing patterns that have to bring me down a little more into like my ribs staying down, feel comfortable with my ribs down, um, reaching overhead, holding something up here so I can prep where my shoulder's gonna be and breathing with that. Doing a lot of the squat holds that you did here. That also helps a lot because it starts to get my body stacked, my body understanding where it lies in relation to each other. Um, Also, push-up holds. Again, a lot of holding, a lot of things that have to get the oxygen and the blood flowing because what hold does is it actually holds, when you're holding a position, it actually keeps your muscles and feeds a ton of blood, ton. The muscle starts getting filled with more blood, which means more oxygen's coming into it because your blood drives oxygen, it transports oxygen. So at the end of it, once you stand up, which is where you start to feel all that really tense up, that burn that you feel, all of a sudden when you stand up, that blood rushes out quickly, which means it cleanses out a lot of those things. But what we're feeding is that muscle is more tensile strength, giving it the ability to store more and more. So we strengthen in that. We're giving it a different kind of ability to become more tensile strong, right? Whether it's here or it's in a different way or it's cross patterning, we're giving it more strength so that it's able to do that. And now all of a sudden, once I have those things, I like to give myself something that brings my heart rate a little bit more, a little bit higher, which is why I do pogo hops a lot of times or a jump rope. Or if I have medicine ball, I'll do a few things with medicine ball that requires slamming, anything like that. Again, something that's going to elevate my heart rate a little bit. Crawl patterns help a lot because now I'm thinking not only getting my mentally into the game, into what I have to do, how I have to move, but also getting my body to respond and stabilize into my obliques, all those things. Now, if I'm doing a pull day, for example, that's not a push day. If I'm doing pulls, I'll do the same thing. I'll do maybe a deadlift hold. Again, getting myself into a specific pattern. I make sure that every single time my hamstrings are working, are kicking in. I'll do 90-90 with the marching. I do with my heels up. I'll do a lot of things that have to do with engaging and getting my hamstrings ready. I like to use step-ups a lot for time rather than for heaviness. So I'll just do like 8 minutes, 10 minutes of step-ups, just holding something and going. With if I use a weight while doing my step-ups, I'll also be using a lot of upper body strength to stabilize. I'll also be using a lot of strengthening to carry those weights, and at the same time bringing myself into a little higher cardiovascular and a higher space for myself to my heart rate to start going. So start preparing myself for what's going to happen later. So if you are a little more question about that, go ahead and check the story that I put up. There's a few exercises there that you can kind of look at, but again, nothing more than 5 to 8 minutes because you don't want to take away from the main show, right? You don't want to just go ahead and you have your whole workout all of a sudden. You're working out, you're warming up for like 20 minutes, and then there goes your workout. So keep it short, be precise, be concise of what you're doing. 30 seconds, 20 seconds, just getting yourself, just feel the right things that you want to feel, get your heart rate going, and let's hop into it. So those are the questions that I got, actually. Pretty good questions so far, pretty good questions, and I appreciate all of you sending me those questions personally. So that wraps up our Q&A, that wraps up this group of Broadway athletes. You've you've done a lot this week. Again, if you did 1 day, you did 5 days, you did 3 days, whatever you did, you kind of put yourself out there. You put in some work, and I appreciate for being out here, for putting what you have to do, for entrusting me with your time. You learned that. Hopefully, you learned a lot. I'm sure you've learned how this starts to like come together. I am actually quite positive that a lot of from the feedback that I've gotten, if you did this, you understood how all of a sudden these two can start communicating together rather than separately or individually. And that's what the goal was for this, right? Now, you started this. A lot of times, a lot of you guys have started this, and that brings us to the fact that you kind of carried a momentum, right? This is a momentum carry. We're going into the holidays. You got this. You did 3 days, 2 days of this, and now you're kind of in a bit of a momentum. And what most likely will happen with a lot of you guys is that you'll fall into one or two traps. One will be that you're going to go into your own if you want to continue working out. You're going to go on your own. You're going to be doing exercises that you think are for you, or that you see other people do, or that maybe you follow what I'm doing and you start doing them, but which is great. You're going to be active. You're going to start doing it, but these exercises are not designed for where you are, what you're doing, right? Even the exercises that I'm putting out there, they are for performers. They are for singers and dancers, but there's a difference between saying that they are for singers and dancers and saying this are put together in a way that is for you. And then the other that might happen is either you do that one, or you might be doing the same things you were doing, and you're just gonna, again, like we're doing, you're gonna just kind of spin those wheels, and because we don't really see what compensations might be happening, or because you have not really seen we weren't able to fully get all these things. 1 week is a great introduction. It's a great way to kickstart it, but were we able to expose all the things that might be in there, might be kind of pushing some buttons, might be giving you some of that chronic pain? No, we weren't able to expose all those things. So you continue in spinning those wheels, continue and realizing and moving the same way, might in some way continue to tire out those things about your body, and getting you to some of the places that either were not consistent enough, or we're just kind of continuing and hitting that same chronic over and over and over with pain. So what I'm offering right now for you guys specifically, because you guys are the first group of Broadway athletes that came together for this, and I really appreciate that. Back in Black Friday, I started this Broadway Athletes membership, which is actually a thing that I'm putting together where I want to get a few people, or as many actually of the athletes as possible. But this is going to be what I did an offer for basically the founding members of that. And so what I'm doing is I'm bringing that same founding member price and offer back for this group, just so that we can kind of create this community together. Now, what that gets you is access to resources, to 2 live workouts a month. It gets you access to the community that's going to do it all together. It gets you access to me 24/7 basically, because it'll be up through an app. So you get an app and your workouts get put straight into there. You get an assessment, and you also get a free assessment again that will dictate how we're going to put your workouts together. And again, these workouts are made in a way that start to progress from now for 3 months. So it's going to be 3 months for $175. That makes it $58 a month. That's $2, actually less than $2 a day. That's not even a coffee a day. So for less than a coffee a day, for less than $2 a day, for 3 months, you're going to be able to have something that a program that's going to be specific for you, that's going to be tailored to how active you are with your singing, how active you are with your dancing, and also tailored with how we start to progress for the goal that you're trying to get to from now till December, January, February, from now till March, which is a great time to start getting us together. I'm hoping that by then, from what I hear, we're getting a little bit more feedback on what's going to happen with theaters, what's going to happen with all this stuff. But ideally, what we want to look is from now to 3 months from now to March is to get you in a good spot that is better, or that is where you were or better, right? Because better in the sense that the movement is actually in a better place pattern wise, that your shoulder feels better, that your hips feel better, and that your knowledge for how to start maneuvering around workouts and around fitness in a way that feeds how you perform is well established, and it is rooted in what you're doing. So again, what you get is, oh, and by the way, you will get, if there's an occasional, I just wanted to throw this as a surprise, there is an occasional guest here and there on the workouts that are on the month. So per month we'll have an occasional guest that will have another live workout, whether it's someone doing Pilates, whether it's someone doing some kind of yoga, whether it's someone doing some kind of dance instruction, or we'll be doing, so it'll have different people, that maybe it's a PT that's doing something more specific for your body, for what you're doing, or maybe someone that comes in and talks to you specifically about something that you may have questions. So again, this is going to be opening up. I'm going to open this up starting today. And it's going to open up until the 30th of December. So from now to the 30th, I'm going to open up a cart, and I'm going to send this out in an email to everybody that's in this group. So you have access to that. If you don't get an email and you're super interested in this and you're trying to find out more, let me know, so I can give you a link. But it's going to be only between now and the 30th of December. That's going to be a chance to get, again, 3 months for less than $2 a day. And you'll have access to workouts specific to you, an assessment, mid-month check-in with at the end of the month review to make sure that we progress the next month right. We're gonna continue on building up as you start, whether you have projects, whether you have dance, whether you have classes. We're gonna make sure that your workouts are tailored in a way that it doesn't conflict with that, but it instead goes along with it. And you'll get an occasional opportunity to you get 2 live workouts and an occasional guest that come in at the end of in each month. So again, thank you so much. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys you're still part of this group, you still feed this community, still help this community, and I hope to hear and see you guys more and more on this group and on Instagram and on stage at some point again. Have a lot of fun, guys. Many hugs, many kisses. Happy holidays. Take it easy. Bye.